Let us begin this video by saying it's July 30th, 2013, and I'm Drutter sitting out in the backyard. Here you can see some tomato plants. Not very impressive, not at all. These ones here are actually volunteers. They just showed up this year. I guess I had some seeds in my compost or something. I'm just going to let them go and see what happens. I've done that in the past, and I actually have gotten fruit off of them and seeds back, but I don't know what type these are, so I do know what those ones are over there. But this isn't a garden video. There'll be a little bit of garden stuff at the end for those who are interested, but it's going to be a little bit about this and that, mostly about what's in the title there in the video. 47% higher than the previous record July ever, this July. So we are breaking the old records, and not only just breaking them by almost 50%, just blowing right through all the old records. And it looks like the pace of silver bullion buying, which is already at a record pace, is accelerating. I recently purchased a new camera for this channel, and after I purchased it I realized it had a few things I didn't want, and it didn't have some things that I did want. So I had to sell that camera on eBay, got rid of it, and got back most of the money that I put into it. But now I have this new camera. It's actually not new. I got this off of eBay. It's a Canon PowerShot SD 1300. If you're interested in a camera for doing a YouTube, this is what I would recommend. Just search 1300 Canon and you'll find this camera. What it didn't have that I didn't want is Wi-Fi. I don't want a camera that's wirelessly hackable. Are you kidding? Forget it. I want a camera that's not part of the internet, that's independent, and I can just take the memory card out and pop that into my computer and download my files or whatever. I don't want to send it through email or send it through the internet to a computer, have it hackable like that. There's a reason I don't carry a smartphone. I don't want a little computer in my pocket that's broadcasting to the internet constantly, looking for facial recognition and stuff like that whenever I turn it on. No thanks. So I got a camera that doesn't have Wi-Fi, and you had to go back a few years. This is a 3-year-old camera, but it was one of the better cameras that Canon had at the time. It's got everything I need. The only thing I would like it to have is a high def option. It goes up to 720p, which makes nice clear videos. In fact, I think I'm going to start using this right now. And this is my old camera, the camera I've been using for about 5 years now. I'm going to keep it. It still basically functions. It's getting really worn out, tired, not taking very good clips anymore. The sound's a little messed up. There's some rattling going on in there, but you know, Canon makes good cameras. I'm going to keep this one around and use it as a spare. But now I have this camera, and I think that it will focus on the fly and stuff like that, so let's see how it goes. I'll take you inside. The rest of the video is going to be done with this camera. Well, it certainly takes a good image of the screen. It fits nicely on the tripod that I already have, so that's a good start. Okay, so July the 29th, that's yesterday, this was updated, and I imagine that's the last update for the month. So 4.4 million ounces were sold in July, and as the title of this video suggests, that's 47% higher than the previous July record, which was set back in July of 2010, and it was 2.98 million. But that's not really anything new. We've been breaking records all year, except where the Mint fudges the data and pushes a few numbers over onto the next month, but they weren't able to do it this time. There was just no way to hide that record, and we have blown through it by almost 50%, which is absolutely incredible. Another thing that can be mentioned about this is that it is tied, essentially, for the all-time best month ever, discounting Januaries. Januaries are always, 2, 3, sometimes even more times higher than the other months in the year. As you can see, this January was at least twice as high as most of the other months. But other than January's, the month that we just had, July of 2013, was tied for the best month of all time. I think the previous best month, going off of memory, was a September 2011, I believe, around 4.45 or 4.46. So essentially tied with that all-time record for the best non-January month of all time. On Thursday, that's the 1st of August, I'll likely have up a full update on the divergence and all the related charts that I've been following along with over the past several months. About a year ago, Canadians were propagandized to start accepting these $100 and $50 and $20 notes, The 10s and the 5s are coming soon, and they're made out of plastic, and the promise was that they were superior in every way to the old paper notes we'd been using for 100 years or so, and also uncounterfeitable. Both of those have been found to be untrue, as the notes, when they go through a dryer or you leave them sitting in the sun on a windowsill or something, if they get to a certain temperature they start to warp, and then they no longer work. If you try and run them through a machine of any kind, it doesn't work anymore. And the other thing is that they are certainly counterfeitable. I got this out of a bank machine recently and took it to the store to buy something with it, and they said they wouldn't take it. I said, what? People have been taking hundreds around here, have had no problem since you went to the plastic notes. And they said, oh, well, that's because those plastic notes weren't counterfeitable, but now they are. We're getting too many of those counterfeits, so we can't take these anymore. I can't pay with this $100? No, sorry, we don't accept it. So, it's not true that these are uncounterfeitable. They are being counterfeited now. So are the 50s, so are the 20s, and I guess so will be the 5s and the 10s when those come out. I guess it is possible to print colored ink onto a sheet of plastic and put a hologram on it. But why are we accepting these ridiculous forms of currency that have no intrinsic value, aren't even backed by anything of intrinsic value, and are inferior to the previous shitty currency that we've been forced to use in the past as well? I have these sativas and indicas now in stock again, and they are on my website, CanadianSilverBullion.com. Speaking of that website, I'm making some changes to it, and I will announce that when I'm done, but as you can see if you go there, it's different. I'm also scaling back my involvement and my connection to my YouTube channel for various reasons, and I'll explain that when the changes are done. I'm still working on updating the site and stuff. I'm going to carry less options than I did before, and that's probably what people aren't hoping to hear, considering I only carry a few options already. I am going to continue carrying this line from Libertyleaf. That's in the US. I import these rounds and then sell them to non-American customers. I'll continue to do that. I'll continue to do the maples, and I'll also do junk silver dollars, but anything else can be special ordered through me. But anyhow, what I wanted to announce is that I do have these in stock currently. I was able to get one of the best deals I've ever gotten on these rounds from the producer in the US. That's Libertyleaf.com. A reminder, if you are American and you want these rounds, that's where you go. You can't buy them from me if you're in the US, and you can't buy them from him if you aren't in the US. So if you're in Canada or anywhere else in the world other than the US, then CanadianSilverBullion.com is where you get these, and if you're in the US, it's Libertyleaf.com. But these rounds have been fairly popular over the last few years. They are not a bullion item, in my opinion. If you're looking for bullion, you want to go for Canadian maples, silver eagles, and stuff with a lower premium, maybe 10-ounce bars and stuff like that. But if you're after silver in terms of collectible collectible rounds, then this is certainly a good one to look at. And something else I wanted to mention, I heard from the owner of Libertyleaf that there is potentially an announcement coming out. This sativa came out, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. This indica is a couple of years old, the design, and I'll just leave it there. I'm not authorized to say any more about it right now, but I believe that he's going to let me do the announcement when one comes up, and I'm excited to see what it is. Remember this movie from the 80s?
Weekend at Bernie's. Are we doing it again today? Oh, absolutely. You know we are. Great. We'll see you later, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, ladies. We'll see you later. This is great.
Anyhow, yeah, it was a funny movie, and it was about, if you haven't seen it, it was about these guys that were having a great time with Bernie, who was rich and prosperous and stuff like that, and he had a lot of resources and stuff, but he died, and they didn't want the fun to end, so they pretended that he was still alive, and brought him around with them. It's very, very funny. Just sort of slapstick sometimes, situational humor that's just right up my alley. But they lied to a lot of people. He started to smell. They disguised that. People were trying to catch on or starting to notice, but they kept on playing tricks on people, and they really milked the situation for all it was worth, even though he was dead. And I think it's a bit of a comparison, actually a really good comparison, to what's going on with the economy of the Western world, which I believe died in 2008 for all intents and purposes, and is being kept alive, or at least the perception that it's still alive, by those who have the ability to do so, the big banks and governments of the world. And I think people are starting to notice the smell. And but they are going to continue milking the situation for all it's worth, and lying to people, and disguising the fact that it is dead. So I think there's some really good comparisons in it, and not to mention it was a hilarious movie. Well, it looks like JPMorgan has been manipulating electricity, as well as pretty much everything else. I mean, what haven't these people been accused of or convicted of manipulating? They're manipulating the precious metals markets. They manipulate the banking rates that the entire world uses, and everyone else has to set their rates off of that rate. They manipulate copper. They're manipulating aluminum. They're manipulating electricity itself. So, you know, when the banks that are in charge of a system are themselves completely corrupt, and there's no doubt about it anymore. I mean, they're paying fines out the wazoo for these criminal actions that they're doing, but they're never going to jail. They're never getting punished. And when that keeps on happening, people really start to lose faith in the system, because they can see that it's corrupt. They know it's corrupt. You know you're dealing with a corrupt system. And it just really shakes people's confidence in that system. We're using money that doesn't make any sense. We're using banks that have really no place in the economy anymore, other than to just profit off of us and profit off of themselves and the fact that they get free money from the central bank. It's just a disaster, and this is just only going to continue and going to get worse. What are they going to be accused of manipulating next? I don't know. Oil? Air? I imagine they're manipulating almost everything that they have touched, ever. And I wouldn't give a bank like JPMorgan the benefit of the doubt at all. I wouldn't assume them to be honest. If something's behind closed doors and I don't know whether they're honest or they're corrupt, I'm going to assume that they're corrupt. And if you are the kind of person that continues to give obviously corrupt organizations the benefit of the doubt, then you don't really belong around me, in my opinion. We're not going to get along. I can see that it's corrupt, and I hope that you can see that it's corrupt too. Just one last thing. Episode 477 of Max Keiser contains some Andrew Maguire footage from an interview I think they had yesterday or earlier today, and it starts at about 15 minutes and 30 seconds, so I'll put the link down below. But other than that, I'll talk to you guys soon, probably Thursday. 27th of July, documenting the crossing of the Patello. It's a Saturday, midday, mid-afternoon. Also testing the new camera. Pretty good. Hey guys, July 28th, 2013 today. I'm just over at Grandma's house in Grandpa's greenhouse, and looking at some tomato plants I haven't quite put in the ground yet. I thought I'd put a few clips together of the gardening stuff for a video that I'll probably do this week sometime. So you're probably looking into the past a few days anyhow. But these are plants I haven't made it into the garden yet, but I think I'm going to put them into some planters and take them over to my kids and let them, because they don't have a garden anymore where they live. So they can have a few tomato plants in a planter, I guess. And up here I have some garlics that have been drying out for a few weeks now. Pulled them out of the ground and coming along nicely. If you're not doing garlic, there's really not much reason not to. It's very easy, very good for you, and it's good for your garden. And I pulled out a few more potatoes as well. And we're currently listening to some music from my grandpa, which was set over 5 years ago before he died. and it comes on at certain times every day. He liked the plants to listen to classical music, so. The lily garden's almost done for the year, but this stargazer is still blooming. Most of the rest are finished. The dahlias are just about to come out. My grandma's got tons of them all over the place. And the dahlia is a summer flower. It comes out in, at least here, it comes out in July, or usually August, September, and even on into October. It doesn't really stop until the fall, until the frost comes. Here are some dahlias in action. The plant itself is very bushy and green and attractive, and the flowers are really nice. I'm not much into flowers, but Grandma's got lots here, and I've taken an appreciation for some of them. More dahlias. Geraniums, of course. Classic stuff like marigolds. Whatever these are, I don't know. Brings a lot of bees to the garden though. Lots of roses. These lilies have been in the family for generations actually. They just keep coming back every year. And I'll probably move them from here when Grandma's gone. But, they're quite attractive plants. They grow taller than me. Is this ready? I don't know. It's only about 6 inches. I've planted potatoes in this entire section here, all around that rhubarb, all the way to the corners by the fence. All this is all potatoes, so I'm going to have about 30 potato plants coming up, and those will be ready for harvest sometime around Halloween. And here's some footage of my tomato plants at Grandma's house. I'm pretty happy with these. As you know, I lost my entire first batch of tomatoes this year and had to use my reserve seeds to get a second batch going. But looks like I'm going to get my seeds back this year from these after all. Probably won't have much of a harvest. I only have 5 of each type of plant that I do. But that's enough for genetic diversity, so I'm happy with that. And these plants are coming along nicely. As you can see, the suckers are growing out from the cracks from each of these lateral stems, or whatever you call them, lateral branches. These suckers, a lot of people take them off. Actually, why don't you put down below, if you do tomato plants, why don't you put down below what you do with suckers and how you manage them. What I usually do is I take some off, but I encourage some, because I find that the plant ends up with a lot more fruit if you leave the suckers on, but I don't leave all of them on. I often take off some. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with these ones yet. But they're looking nice and green, nice and healthy, and I'm really happy with how these turned out. But I guess I'm going to end this video here. Talk to you guys soon.